Hey guys, it's Movies with Bruce. We promised you a faith-based movie review once a month on the 25th, and it is the 25th of November, so this is our first one. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you give me some good feedback on it. Again, these are going to be faith-based movies. We talked about that in the preview of this last night. They're not necessarily just straight, hardcore Christian movies. There might be a little bit of language in the movie, or they might be a scene that's a little tough to swallow or hard to take. We are going to review straight up Christian movies like Courageous and Facing the Giants, but we're also going to take on movies like Noah. What an atrocity that movie was. And I think there's some other movies that we've got out there, The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, ones like that. So we're gonna take on some of those, not to be controversial ourselves, but just to talk about those. So this particular movie, I want you to see who it is that narrates this movie. You're going to be just shocked and blown away in the first minute or two of the movie and go, why have I never heard of the movie called Simon Birch? Okay, I'm not going to give it away, but the person that narrates the movie, Simon Birch's best friend, Joe, it's him later on in life narrating this movie, and it's great. The first person you're going to meet during the movie is Miss Levy. She's the Sunday school teacher, and you're going to figure out pretty quick that she's not the most serious Christian as a Sunday school teacher. Then you're going to meet Simon Birch. Simon Birch is so little that everybody just wants to pick him up. He could literally, the doctor says when he was born that he fit in the palm of his hand, and he has an undersized heart, and he says that he's probably not going to make it through the night, through the week, through the end of the month, for the entire year. You get the picture. He did live, and live he did. And the doctors don't need to tell you that Simon is a miracle beyond miracle, because Simon is pretty content on reminding all of us all the time he is a miracle. Next, you're going to meet Joe. Joe is Simon's best friend in the whole wide world. They are thick as thieves. They play baseball together. They go swimming together. They look at girls and talk about girls together just like young boys would do. Joe even times how long Simon can hold his breath underwater. Pretty neat. Now, like I said, they're just like brothers. Now, Joe's mom, well, she loves Simon like a son, and she is without a doubt Simon's biggest fan. So this is some of the ones that you're going to meet along the way. Rebecca, who's Joe's mom, well, she's just met and started to date Ben. Now, funny part in the movie is Ben brings the boys over a stuffed armadillo in a bag to try to create something unusual, because he's a drama teacher. So this is your first really insight of what type of personality that Simon has. You see, Joe, again, Rebecca's son, he's going to kind of not taunt, but kind of challenge Simon. He's like, Simon, you want to know what's in the bag. You know you want to know, so you have to look because you want to look. And Simon turns around and tells him, he says, look, what I want to do and what I do, it's two different things. If we all went around and did just whatever we wanted to, everything would just be chaos. You see real quick who Simon is, and Simon's mental ability is way beyond his years on how he looks at things. So the movie takes off when we learn that no one but Joe's mom knows who Joe's dad is. Now that's the big secret of the town, and she promises she's going to tell him when he gets older. Well, she has a little bit of an accident, a freakish, fatal accident. So now Joe's on his own, and if he doesn't figure out who his father is, they're probably going to ship him off to a boys' home. So there's part of the plot of the movie. Simon, well, he's going to show you a big outburst in church when he inquires, what does coffee and donuts have to do with God anyway? That raises the pastor's ire. And Simon says, whoever says that church needed a continental breakfast. So again, you get to see the inside of Simon. He says, I doubt that God is interested in church activities. He also tells the pastor, if God has made the church's bake sale our highest priority, we got some problems. So there's some funny moments, but some serious moments, and you're going to see that he's given a timeout by the Sunday school teacher. So the pastor asked Simon, he says, do you understand what's wrong? He says, do you know why you're sitting in a corner? And what are you doing? Do you know what it is you're doing sitting in the corner? And Simon looks at him and says, yeah. He says, I'm thinking about God. The pastor says, how can you sit in the corner and think about God, Simon? And Simon says that faith isn't limited to a floor plan. This kid has got some zingers and one-liners. He tells everybody, and he's disrupting the church when he does, of course. He tells everybody that God has a special plan for him. You see, Simon thinks that God made him exactly the size he is and exactly the way he is for a special purpose, that he's going to be a hero one day and that he's God's instrument. Well, Rebecca, Joe's mom, she says that Simon's far-fetched claims, that's not what's scaring the children. It's Simon's strong faith that's scaring the church. So when Rebecca's accident drive Joe and Simon farther apart, Joe find his dad before it's too late. And where and how can we see God and faith and biblical insight in the 1998 very unusual movie, Simon Birch? Now, I want you to watch it. Now, here I'm going to give you 4 or 5 things to think about real quick. Have you ever done something and cried out to the Lord, I'm sorry? Well, if you have, if you can understand that and relate to it, I want you to read Exodus chapter 2. You see, Moses did the same thing. And you might be able to read Exodus chapter 2 and have something to relate to. Have you ever asked God to remove something that just was so painful or hurt so bad? Well, Paul did in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. You might want to read that if you got some things going on. Simon is unique. You're going to find that out in this movie. Do you think that God made us as carbon copies? Or do you think he made us unique and with a purpose? I want you to go and read Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, around in that area where it says God has a special plan for you and me, and you over there, and you up there as well. He has a special plan for all of us. 1 Corinthians 12:18 says we're individual, but we also fit perfectly into the puzzle together as a group. How about 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10? We each have a gift or a talent. So if you think we're all carbon copies, there's 3 scriptures for you. Jeremiah 29:11, 1 Corinthians 12:18, and 1 Peter 4:10. So what is the purpose of the church according to God? And what is it that you see in your church versus how you see the church act in this movie? Which way does your church act more, biblically or the church in this movie? Matthew 28:19, go and teach and baptize. A lot of people want to call it the Great Commission, and bless his heart, Dr. Bob at my Bible college would always ask us, has the Great Commission expired? Let's hope not. Hebrews chapter 10 and Acts chapter 2 would tell us to meet together and encourage one another as well. Much in the movie about Simon Birch makes you stop and remember that we're made unique with special gifts. There will be hard times, but God will be there for us, and he will serve his purpose through us. I want you to watch Simon Birch. I've set the stage for you now. I'm going to come back here and discuss some of these points. If you've already seen Simon Birch, tell everybody else to go see it. So there's our first faith-based movie review, a movie called Simon Birch.